Hello and welcome to my retro watches. My name is Mike, and in this video I'm going to do something completely stupid. So what you can see in front of you is a Seiko dial from a Lord Matic. Now this is a watch I'm working on for my own pleasure. It's missing the day window frame and the lume, as you can see, is quite bad, so I wanted to re-lume the dial. But I've also had a job come in from a viewer who's asked me to try and fix their Seiko Pogue, which you might be able to see here. See if I can get into focus. There. And the lume on this is horrible. It's all gone black and is pretty nasty. And they've asked me if I can re-lume the dial, of which this whole watch is potentially going to come a video to the channel. Now, I don't like re-luming dials. I've only done a few over the years. My first ever attempt was on a video probably 2 or 3 years ago. And that went okay, but doing it for somebody else is a lot more challenging. So it got me thinking, and a few people have put a comment on one of my posts, and I've been Googling, and it sounds like people like Spencer Klein or the Blair Watch Project have got some sort of secret sauce that they use in order to turn the bad lume back to white lume without reluming it. So it's just a cosmetic thing rather than actually having it serving as its purpose. So I'm going to do an experiment using this dial as the sacrificial lamb, because if the lume goes wrong, it doesn't matter, I can scrape it off and the rest of the video can then be me actually re-luming it. So I've made my own secret sauce straight from my bathroom in container 1, which isn't really going to show up on the screen too well, is thick bleach, just everyday garden bleach, not garden bleach, but you know what I mean. And then in a second container I've got here, I'll just bring it in, you don't really need to see it, is a 50-50 concentration with some deionized water. And I'm just going to apply a bit. Now we've got this really bad one down here, and I think it would be unfair to do that in one and something else in another. So we want to try and look for potentially this one that's just got a little bit of scabbiness on it, and maybe this one over here, and we'll do a controlled experiment where I just put neat bleach on this one and the diluted one on that one and see how we get on. I'll leave it for, I don't know, an hour, 24 hours, something like that, and see if it has any effect. Okay, I've resorted to watchmaker's paper because Rodico seemed to be an absolute pain in the backside to do. And I'm only going to need a tiny amount of this bleach, I think. It certainly smells clean. Okay, so it's applied to that one. That's the thick bleach, and we'll put the slightly diluted one, which might be a bit easier to put on the other side. So I'm just going to use the same piece of paper. If any of this works, it's going to be absolutely hilarious. Because equally, I don't think in this hobby, certainly when we're hobbyists as I am, and maybe you are, that we should keep secrets. I mean, it's all about trying to pass this down, what we can learn. And yeah, you know, pass on the knowledge and keep passing it on. It is quite a little tricky thing to apply because you don't want to put too much on. I don't even know what it will do. So I don't know what it'll do to the lume. I don't think it'll do anything. Potentially, it might soften it for a bit and then when it dries, harden perhaps. So there we are. I'm happy that both of those have got sufficient amount on, and now we just wait, don't we, and take a bit of a shot as it is now, and then we'll see what it's like afterwards. But on the digital microscope, as close as I dare go, and you can see the loom rot very clearly there. This is the plot that had all of the thick bleach put on. So far, it hasn't done anything, but I have seen it kind of absorb in, so let's sort of give it some time. While we're here, we may as well look around all the other plots. They look pretty disgusting, right? And I guess at this level of magnification, it would be a bit easier then to scrape it off, clean it, and apply new loom, which is fairly straightforward. The cleaning's a bit more of a pain. And so we now arrive at this one. This is the one that's got the watered down bleach on it. And I mean, I guess it's taken me 5 minutes, say, to set this up. There's no change or meaningful change that I can tell at all. So maybe I'd either apply another coat of it or just give it more time. Carry on around. See, every one of these is pretty gnarly, but the last one, of course, is that one, which is absolutely horrendous. I'd be very surprised if this exercise, if it did anything to the other two, whether it could actually cope with what's going on there. But we'll see. You know, I don't understand enough about this, whether it is a kind of bacterial mold or something like that that's just gets in there through moisture and sends it a different colour. That is certainly the assumption, so we'll go with that for the time being. So okay, let's just leave it, give it some time. You've had a look around, see what it looks like. It looks horrible, to be quite honest. Along with the dial is in pretty rough shape. I mean, look at the Seiko here. If I just get that into focus, it's all sort of tarnished and everything else. Some of that will clean off with the Bergeon dial cleaner tool. If I can get a little bit of pegwood in, sometimes you can just give it a little rub. That's not really working at the moment, is it? I prefer to do this on my stereoscope with my eyes, but yeah, it isn't the best, this watch, but I'm trying to improve it as best I can. We're back, and it's actually 48 hours later. We're looking at the one on the left that had all the raw bleach poured on it, and well, look, it's made absolutely zero difference. I kind of thinking I might be wasting all of your time and mine with this silly little experiment. We go across to the other side, and yes, it is the same there. Now, I kind of not done. I'm going to re-lume the whole thing anyway. But I am now a little bit curious as to whether this isn't rot in the same sense as it might be perhaps tarnish on the bottom of the, you know, the post here itself, and perhaps it's discoloured it, and therefore that's not going to change anything. So we've still got the really bad one down here. So I'm tempted to just, for the sake of it, I'm going to put some bleach on that one. And then I'm going to come back up to here, and I'm going to chop off all of that loom and see what sort of, well, see what lies beneath there, and see if it makes any difference there. I'm thinking now that it's going to make absolutely zero difference, and this video ultimately will just be, let's re-lume all of them and see what it looks like, because I need to give you some content or some value to take away from this video, and so far it's just a funny experiment, isn't it? So let's apply some bleach. Right, I'm going for the full-on 100% stuff, the thick bleach. We'll just apply that onto there. Actually looks like it's tarnished my oiler as well, doesn't it? And that's interesting in itself. So I'll leave that to soak. Let's think that it's going to do nothing, but in the meantime I'll chop away all this. And look at that, that's come away remarkably easy and quickly. So perhaps the actual bleach has softened that, and this is what I was wondering is tarnished, the silver bit underneath, but I am completely wrong. Look at that. So just using a bit of pegwood, as you can see, little tiny bit of pressure. Really does help having a microscope, although I am doing this on the digital scope, so I'm looking at the screen rather than the object, which is always a little bit confusing. But you know, this is the sort of stuff you do for YouTube. So look, I can clean that up a little bit more when I get rid of all the debris there. Okay, that's what we're left with. Yeah, I'll be able to file the rest of that off, I think. Just for, well, for kicks really. Let's just try and take a different one apart and see if these are as soft or whether that bleach had an effect. No, look. So it just crumbles off dead easy. So I'm now just tempted really to just work all the way around, leave that one that we put the bleach on for the experiment before cleaning it up and making some new lume to apply to the dial. There's actually something quite satisfying about doing this. And there we go. I'll clean them a little bit more off camera and get a bit of Rodico on there to get the excess off. Very easy to break off. I better put the surround on as well, I guess, on there at some point. Easy to take off. It's surprising that all the blackness is at the bottom, isn't it? Don't know why that would be. Anyone know? You know, leave your comment down below. That would be useful. A couple of scratches on this dial, which is a real shame. Look, one there and one there. You never know the history of watches. That could have been a careless hobbyist stroke owner, or it could be that a crystal broke and somehow scratched the dial. Who knows? We're not going to find out. But there you go. Right, okay, we'll leave that for another, say, 24 hours and see if it's going to do anything. Well, here we are, day 3, and guess what? We've had literally no change at all. I think, to be fair, there's been a little small change, perhaps, but am I just being optimistic? It still looks really, really nasty. So, okay, let's not waste any more time with this silly experiment. If you guys know of any special secret sauce that can turn these things white, or whether this is all just a complete myth, then let me know down in the comments. For now, I'm going to chip that bit off and mix some lume up, and why not show you my luming attempt on a dial. There we go, looks better already. The lume I'm using, you can see here, is the Bergeon lume kit. I have tried cheap lume, works just as well. I just prefer this one because the powder is a lot finer. You get an oiler, really it's just a stirrer, little bowl to mix it in. There's the lume powder, it's the white one. You can get different colours as well. That is the binder. It's quite a thick substance, a bit like nail varnish, and that's thinner if you need to water it down. So I'm going to mix a little bit up. You've got to mix it so that it's a lot thicker. When you use it, you're putting it on hands, it's quite loose because you're trying to stretch it over the gap. And I think for dials, you might just need it a little bit thicker so it's not so runny. Okay, I've got my lume mixed up, and the plots are as clean as I can get them without, I reckon I can get some of those other bits off, to be honest, but it's difficult because I don't want to damage things either. So you can see the sort of consistency I've got this, and I'm just trying to push it to the edges, let it flow a little bit. Now it does look a bit off colour. I can assure you it is absolutely white. I think it's the microscope doesn't really like whites very much. And it has been quite a while since I've done this as well. But there we go, that's one plot, well, the big plot done actually, so we'll just work our way around and keep doing them. Yeah, it really sort of comes off like a mud brown. It's definitely not, I can assure you. How weird is that? And the last one. Honestly, staring at a screen is really confusing. It's just starting to set a little bit now. So if I had to take any longer, I'd probably have to add a bit of thinners to it, I think. But okay, there we go. I'm going to set the other camera up just to prove that it isn't brown. Well, look, I've just lifted the head of the microscope up, and I think that proves the point, doesn't it, that it is white. That looks pretty decent. Hopefully it dries nice and uniform, so we have the sort of roughly the same layer on every plot. Wasn't as difficult as I thought it was going to be. I think the pressure will be on if I come to do that Seiko poke though. Okay, right, I'm going to let that dry. The hands don't need doing because the hands don't have lume on this watch, weirdly. I'll put it all together, we'll do a lume shot, I'll show you the finished watch. And here we are, finally, it's all dried, and I think it looks pretty decent, to be honest with you. I'm quite proud of my work here. They all look uniform, certainly look better than they did before, and they're going to glow great too. I made a little bit of a faux pas in the fact that I said that the hands on this watch didn't have any lume on, which was a really daft thing to say in hindsight, because why would you have lumed indices and not lumed hands? But you can see from the image that you're looking at, the hands aren't exactly in the best condition. This whole watch was not in a good condition when I got it, and it's been a little bit of a project. It was the first LM that I'd really worked on, and I bought a bit of a wreckage just to see how it would turn out. So I think I've turned it around quite well actually. So just going to go close up now, have a quick look at the plots so you can see for yourself what you think, and then we'll do a lume shot, and then that's going to be it really, isn't it? Okay, so let's just have a quick look round, going up anti-clockwise. I think it's dried pretty well. And there we go, look at the hands. I've loomed that one and it's slightly oozed out, hasn't it? I didn't notice that until now, so maybe I'll have to do that again. But yeah, the hands aren't brilliant, but there we go. Right, lume shot time. And with a flash of a UV pen to charge it up, this is what we're going to get, and that's burning nice and bright green. And yeah, what more can I say? It's lume, it's going to do its job, it's going to do its job well, looks great. Let's just give it a lume degradation shot and let a time lapse and see how long the lume actually burns bright for, because I don't think I've ever done that on the Bergeon lume kit before. Here's a time lapse over 8 minutes, and it starts off really well but fades pretty quickly to a sort of dull green and just stays there actually for hours. The camera can't pick it up but your eyes can. I was expecting more from Bergeon, but it is what it is, I suppose. And here is the finished watch. Nice little thing, this square case, as you can see. Done a bit of case finishing on it. It's not coming out very well. There's still a lot of scratches. It's a what are we on? September 1971. Haven't got a strap for it. 19mm lugs. Seiko's favourite to use, which is always a bit more of a problem to source. So I'll see if I can find a blue strap to go with. And I think this one, well, I think it's going to go on the merch store. So don't forget to head on over to Time Tees. There's a link down below and you'll see the watches for sale and any of my merch if you want to, of course, support the channel. Have we learned anything from this? Well, yes, not to bother trying to bleach and do anything with the loom. It's best just to take it off and start again. Tell me what you think. Leave your comments below. I'll read every single one. Try to reply to as many as I can. I'll be very interested to hear what you've got to say about this, whether it was worth it or not. Yeah, give the video a like if you found it useful, and of course if you're here for the first time and you've enjoyed what you saw, then consider subscribing. It's free and all you got to do is click a button. For those who have subscribed, please check that you hit the bell button, because that way you are notified when I do any new uploads, and quite a lot of you haven't because the analytics tell me so. Okay, that's it then. I will see you very soon in the next video. I've got quite a few planned, so stay tuned for those, including, of course, I'm going to start filming that Seiko Pogue. So I think a lot of you are anticipating that one. A lot of Seikos on the channel, as always, but, you know, it is my favourite brand, after all. Okay, bye for now. See you in the next video.